I am legitimately begging you, Ice Frog, if you're watching this video, I will do anything. I will fly out to Seattle and I will give you a foot rub for a year straight, every single day. I don't care how dirty and smelly and gross your feet are. I'll give you a nice lotioned up, oiled up foot rub, anything to get Pudge out. How the All right, getting into it. We're covering the tier list for position 4s.
Here we go. S tier, let's get into it. Phoenix, Rubick, Earthshaker, Io. Do we agree on all 4 of these heroes?
So I think my thoughts with Io are still similar to when we talked about it in the previous weeks, which is, yes, I think this hero is absurdly broken, as it typically is in many Dota patches, but for pubs, not so sure I would recommend people to play it if you're not already an IO player or looking to learn something that is going to be of value in future patches. But it takes a while to learn. It has been dumbed down. Certainly, it's easier to play, but it's still pretty hard. So I would say for pubbers, it's probably A or B tier. But if you're an IO player, you're an IO player. It's a good patch for IO.
Yeah, I had it in B tier before just for those exact reasons, but I feel like it's worth putting in S at this point just because, like, it is an S tier hero. We're just lying to ourselves if we're not putting it in S tier. The other S tier heroes, we've got Phoenix. This hero, was he S tier last time? I don't know. We've been talking about him for a while. He's
not for position 4. I think I had him as S tier for position 5, and you were saying you think he's more of a position 4, but you agreed that he's probably A tier or something along those lines.
Sure. I love this hero. I've been saying that he's good for a long time. Very niche hero, I would say. It's one of the harder, or like it seems like one of the harder heroes to play that not a lot of people have really dove into. But I think that once you kind of get the hang of how his skills work and like how much health you lose from using them and that kind of stuff, becomes a incredibly strong high impact hero. And with all the buffs that have happened, I mean, we talked about his Ags, I think, in the position 5 video. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
4 Ags in 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, good enough to put it in S tier. You literally have an Aegis for a teammate, and it refreshes all their abilities. So,
Yep. Amazing hero, great at team fighting, fantastic at pushing dead lanes, which there's a lot of in Dota. Like a lot of Dota right now is this constant brawling that happens, but there has to be somebody that's taking care of doing garbage control in the lanes. And Phoenix is one of the best heroes at doing this because not only can you push out the wave very quickly with fire spirits, also Phoenix is incredibly difficult to kill. You can just dive away, and worst case scenario, you can egg from a distance, and then your team can TP in. So it's this huge pain in the ass to try to run around killing a Phoenix. It's almost not worth it. And heroes where it's not worth it to stop them when they're split pushing, and simultaneously they're very good once they have some farm, which of course this hero is. We already talked about the Ags. It's a recipe for disaster for sure.
Yeah, that actually seems to be kind of a theme in these S and A tier heroes. If I'm looking at it, Wyvern kind of fits that bill. Void Spirit kind of fits that bill. Ember Spirit kind of fits that. Weaver, Dark Willow, Tusk. All of these heroes have like pretty good escape mechanisms. Do very well with farm. Can clear creep waves, except for maybe Tusk and Willow's not the best at it. But the rest of them pretty good at clearing the waves. Pretty good at getting farm in extremely dangerous places. And once they have 1 or 2 high impact items, I mean, they might as well be a core hero in the game.
Yeah, I mean they are. A lot of the time they become more farmed than the position 3 in the game.
Yep.
And have a higher impact if you are, especially if you're disregarding running in and feeding, because 3s definitely do that a lot.
Right.
It's our job, but yeah, 4's good spot right now if you're a playmaking position 4. I think all of these heroes are also very capable of doing stuff on their own or with like +1 hero. Like Clockwerk's a hero that can start fights. Ember Spirit's a hero that can start fights. All of these heroes can just kind of run around and get shit done on the map, like get a lot done on the map.
Yep, definitely. Going back to the S tier heroes, I mean, what needs to be said about Earthshaker and Rubick that we haven't already said in previous videos? They've been here for a long time. Earthshaker's still potentially just the best position 4 ultimate in the game as far as like high impact in team fights. Rubick is just Earthshaker, basically. except he has more spells. You know,
Yeah.
so that's the thing is, anytime Earthshaker's in the meta, Rubick's going to be in the meta because he is
Well,
Earthshaker and like also is just insanely
right.
good in his own right.
See, the problem with Rubick is that as long as he has arcane supremacy,
Yeah.
if there are good heroes with good spells in the meta,
Right.
Rubick will be meta.
Yep.
You really have to hurt his laning or make him be able to get solo killed by a Crystal Maiden. Like, you would really, really need to nerf this hero with how Arcane Supremacy works, basically giving you the enemy spell but better to make him bad. Just because if any hero that has spells that you can steal reasonably are in the meta, he's going to be great. Kunkka, okay, steal the boat. It's really good.
Right.
Earthshaker, steal the Fisher. It's fantastic. Pango, steal the Pangold.
Sand King, like even
every
something.
hero
Yeah.
has something.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, this hero is just completely nuts. And then you put on top of that the fact that he has an instant disable that's fairly long range. He has one of the best laning abilities in the entire game because it just nerfs the enemy team's damage by half pretty much.
Yeah.
And also secures range creeps and pushes the lane, which is all of those things are really good. He just does too much stuff. He has better spells than the enemy team, and he also doesn't have a weak laning stage. So where's the problem? There is none.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on to 8 tier, let's talk about Wyvern first. Do you still think that this is a position 4 hero, or is it kind of trending back towards being a 5?
It's probably trending back more to being a 5 right now, but I would still say that for me, I would put this in like A- tier or B+ tier just because of that trend. But I still really think that, I mean, Legion Commander, for example, if you look at the ESL stats right now, 78% win rate over like 20 games, something like that. So
Right.
anytime there are these like heavy physical damage heroes in the meta, which there's Ursas, there's Legions, tons of heroes like this, Wyvern is going to be strong because of the Cold Embrace, because of the counter initiation that comes from the ultimate. Like I feel like on one side, Winter Wyvern as a 5 is becoming more popular than as a 4, but on the other side, you have a lot of these physical damage heroes coming back into the meta, such as Ursa, where Wyvern just kites the hell out of those heroes and completely counters them.
Right. And then, like we just talked about, she fits a lot of the characteristics and archetype of a position 4 at the moment, which is that she's quite good with farm. Like, this hero, if you can get a pretty quick Orchid, you can literally solo kill people because you have a 60 damage talent and like insane attack range. And then really hard to kill, one of the best lane pushers in the entire game, or D pushers rather. And just the fact that you have this ultimate that will literally change the game because it's a BKB producing disable that can solo kill people, or potentially even solo kill like the most important hero on the enemy team.
Yeah, seriously. I've seen this thing kill like a Terrorblade, which also is in the meta, and this hero is incredibly good against.
Yep. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the Spirit Brothers, Void Spirit and Ember Spirit. We're going to talk about them together because I think both you and I just continue to say they are the same hero with slightly different flavors.
Yeah, I think so. It's I gotta say, if you asked me like a month ago, would I put these heroes even in a position 4 list? I would say no. There's no way. It doesn't make any sense. But I've seen it. I've definitely been proven wrong. I thought that the Ember Spirit 4 was a meme for a while. I thought that Void Spirit 4, I didn't necessarily think it was a meme, but if you've watched any of the previous 4 lists, a lot of the time I talk about, I feel like the hero needs levels. But that doesn't seem to necessarily be the case. You don't need that much farm. You don't need that much levels as long as you're expecting less than a core Void Spirit from a support Void Spirit. You know what I mean? It's like when people are playing Doom as a position 5, position 4, all you needed was Tranquil Boots and the Doom ability. And if a 4 can offer you something that's that powerful in a team fight, well, that's kind of insane. As an offlaner, it's like you need items to do the offlane stuff that you have to do as well. So basically what I'm saying is I feel like Ember and Void Spirit can actually do a lot of the things that you want to be able to do as a position 4 without having items. All they need is some Tranquil Boots and Bottle, and they're good to go. You have Ember Spirit. He can go behind both of these heroes. You can go behind towers and push lanes and split push and get out and be really annoying. You can gank lanes. You have a good disable in the Ether Remnant. You have a good escape in the W. Your E is good for trading.
And shoving waves.
And shoving waves. And then, of course, you just have this insane mobility and catch, which what a position 4s do. Look at Earth Spirit. Look at Earthshaker. Right. These heroes, they can initiate. They can, once again, I know I said this before, but they can get shit done. That's the really important thing. Is a Void Spirit position 4 or an Ember Spirit position 4 going to do a ton of damage in a team fight and solo kill some Terrorblade? Probably not. Maybe if you get really farmed, you pick up a Spirit Vessel or something like that. That's very possible. But in a game where it's not going so well, probably not. But what 4 can?
Yeah.
What 4 can do that without items?
I mean, what I really like about them is that they both have like a fairly low committal initiation spell that can force the other team to take a fight when they don't really want to. And then you said that they don't really do that much damage and solo kill people, but they actually do a lot of damage over time. They're not burst heroes necessarily, but
right.
But he's going to get off like 3 or 4 slights. He's going to get several Searing Chains. Void Spirit's going to hit 2 or 3 Resonant Pulses, a couple Astral Steps. So like overall, their damage output is going to be really high because they just have these like fairly efficient spells, and they're going to get several rounds of them off.
I'm thinking of it in terms of like from a support perspective. Yes, they do a lot for a support.
Sure.
Not as much as a carry Void Spirit or Ember Spirit, but for a support, they actually do a shitload of damage. So I guess what I'm saying is I had the expectations of these heroes being played in the same way from the position 4 rule, and you just can't expect them to do core things, but you can kill supports with any items on Void and Ember Spirit. That's the crazy thing. You run down a Crystal Maiden or a Rubick with your shield on either hero, they will die to you, even if you just have Tranquil Boots.
Yep.
So it's just, if you have your expectations as like the support expectations, these heroes will exceed them.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, these heroes are nuts.
I do want to say, I think with Void Spirit, what made him come into the meta as a position 4, to give you a little bit less anecdote, is that people started building him as a position 4, going Tranquil Boots, going Orb of Venom, things like that.
Maxing Remnant.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of I'm going to play core Void Spirit from position 4 that made him look really shit.
Yeah.
And with Ember Spirit, the Searing Chains was buffed. The mana cost was reduced. The cooldown was reduced. So being played as a position 4 and going for like I said, the Tranquil Boots, things like that, that was much more viable on Ember Spirit as well. So there were changes in terms of play style and to the actual stats of these heroes. It's not just, they weren't discovered yet. It was like, okay, people need to do the proper build, and Ember did need to get the proper buffs in order to be playable as a position 4. So it's not just, new meta thing people are doing. Like these heroes deserve to be here because of buffs.
Yeah, and they were figured out in the correct way finally.
Yeah, basically. Exactly.
Tusk is one of the quintessential competitive 4 role heroes.
He's so good.
He's amazing. He was off meta for a little bit, but I don't know if it was ever really justified. It was just kind of, he wasn't popular for whatever reason.
I think so. I tend to agree.
Everybody was like, Walrus Punch stun duration, that's the big changer. It's not really. It was always a BKB piercing disable when you have 3 of the best laning skills in the entire game. Like, this kit right here, Tag Team Snowball Arch Shards, will win you most early games, and then this is almost an irrelevant ability unless you're playing against like a Juggernaut Lifestealer or somebody builds a BKB.
Right. So the way that I like to think about this hero now is that his Q and his W are essentially skill shots.
Yep.
Like this Ice Shards, you need to hit it in the right place. You can Ice Shards yourself up cliffs. There are so many cool things you can do with this ability.
Break Slark's tether. Oh my god.
Yeah,
destroys him.
There's tons of shit. The snowball can be used to save from so many things. Like a good snowball can save from a disruptor ulti. How can you not call that a skill shot when you can position outside the disruptor ulti but close enough to get somebody in the snowball
and roll through?
That definitely exactly roll through the field. Like that takes precision, that takes skill. So the cap on this hero is ridiculously high. Like this is the Ember Spirit of position 4, and I realize it's weird that I say that because now Ember's actually a position 4. But Ember's always been this, mid-position hero that has this massive skill cap. And that's how I consider Tusk. It's like, if you're good at this hero, same with Earth Spirit, it's just going to be good in any patch. And then on top of that, you have his E ability, which is just one of the most devastating laning abilities in the game. And I actually do think the stun duration on the Walrus Punch is pretty cool. Like, I think it's pretty good it makes up for these situations where you'd have some Queen of Pain or Ember Spirit that would otherwise get away versus a Tusk, but won't anymore in the current patch. Like it made it so that a lot of the counters to the hero are no longer counters because he offers that much more disable.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't trying to say it's completely pointless. I just mean that like even without a 1.5 second stun, it's still an amazingly good hero.
Yeah,
so.
Agreed.
Weaver, Clock, Dark Willow. Let's briefly go over these. Weaver, this hero it's the eggs. That's why this hero is amazing. Also, you don't have to go boots necessarily. People are, but you don't have to until much later. You can rush a spirit vessel, go for an eggs, get boots somewhere in there. And those two items are going to allow you to have insanely good
I think there's
potential.
a few things. I think the eggs has always been broken, but I think the fact that his early game is so strong right now because of stat gain changes, because of the Q, it does a shitload of minus armor now because the number of attacks on the swarm was increased. The attack frequency was buffed. So the amount of minus armor that this does in an extended fight, which by the way, there's a lot of happening right now, which is a big reason why Spirit Vessel is so strong. I've seen people like minus 40 armor from that ability. It is completely ludicrous. So this hero is also amazing with the Vessel, which is a trending item. He's amazing with the Solar Crest, amazing with the Nags. So you can build these like pseudo damage items like Vessel and like a Medallion. And because of just your stat gain and because of how your other abilities work, Weaver will do core damage effectively from a position 4, while also having this really annoying laning presence, while also having this utility coming from the Ags, coming from the Vessel. So he does all of the position 4 stuff, but also does damage. And I considered Lycan broken for a very long time because of that, because he can build these Necros and Dominators and items that traditionally would be considered, who builds those? Offlaners, right?
Right.
But so you have this hero that does damage by building these offlane items and also does utility because those are offlane items. I consider Weaver to be the same, just because he can carry and do as much damage as a position 1, position 2, while also being a position 4. That's insane. You just have 2 heroes in one here. True. If you play it well enough.
True. And yeah, just even Geminate attack is nuts for trading. Like, you get 1 point in this during the lane stage, you can snipe couriers instantly, which is another huge piece of his utility right now, is that he's really good at catching the couriers as they try to bring out the salve early on, or the first round of items for the support or the carry in the lane. And he's pretty good at rotating because of that. Like, he's got Shikuchi to move around. He can go snipe mid's courier, come back to lane. He's got a lot of mobility, and that equals utility a lot of the time in the early stages for a 4.
Yep. Without boots. All without boots.
Yep. Clock.
Great against a lot of the popular picks right now. There's Jakiros, there's Earthshakers. There's a whole lot of people that just do not want to get in melee range with a Clockwerk. On top of that, this hero's been kind of insane for quite some time. The cogs buffs have been really great for him, where now the knockback duration is longer, the knockback distance is longer, the distance where it looks to knock people back is larger. Basically, cogs is a ridiculous stun now, whereas it never really was before. And the damage, 275 damage at max level. I mean, I think it's probably the least important thing about it, but that should just go to show how broken the rest of the buffs were to cogs, that I'm looking at 275 damage and being like, that's not that important. But that's how broken this ability is now. On top of that, Battery Assault, no cast point. Rocket Flare, always been a great ability for scouting and for pushing out lanes. But on top of this, we now have these ridiculous Rocket Flare talents. You knew exactly what I was going to say before I said it. You hovered over the talents. Like, these talents are insane. Like 125 Rocket Flare damage, you kill ranged creeps, you push out waves insanely fast. You get the Rocket Flare True Sight. You don't need to get any Invis detection against Invis heroes, and it's great for dewarring. It's pretty insane. And then Hookshot. It's a BKB piercing, long range disable. Some Naga Sirens trying to song and TP out. Boom, Hookshot. Name another hero that can do that. There are very few of them.
Yep, definitely. I mean, this hero he's just strong. He's all of his stuff is pretty strong at this point. I wanted to also just quickly mention, going back to Void Spirit, since we're still in A tier, he has a Remnant True Sight talent, which is what everybody's taking as the position 4, and it's super good because of just the free D wards. With the limit on sentries, I mean, any free True Sight is nuts.
Yep.
Willow, you convinced me to put this in A tier. I know that there's a few specific pro players that love this hero and always have and think it's amazing. I haven't seen a ton of it recently, but every time I do see it, it's incredibly annoying. So I'm down. It's got tons of disable. It's got a really annoying escape. Can solo kill people by itself, kind of like almost fitting into that Void Spirit. It doesn't have the gap close necessarily, but if you do it, get like a Yule's, you can just solo kill supports. If you have a blink, you can solo kill supports, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, Terrorize.
That's a nuts ability. Just a ridiculous
It's too big. It's huge.
It's huge. It's huge. And the range is huge, just like the Snapfire ulti, which I think is another very broken hero.
Right.
Is the range on it is like she can be just across the map. I think the biggest reason this hero is nuts is just because of the Q ability. Like the downtime at level 1 is like 5 seconds or something like that. So it stays. Oh yeah, it stays for 15 seconds, and then it's 20-second cooldown. So a Bramble Maze is basically always down, and it does 125 damage per Bramble, and you can walk through multiple of them. So 8 Brambles, 125 damage each. This thing, technically speaking, can do like 1,000 total damage at level 1 with 5 seconds of downtime.
Right.
Excuse me? That's insane.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty hard to avoid the Brambles, especially if it's kind of in the chaos of people trying to like get pulls off or get away from you in the laning stage or something like that. It's
There's
very
good
easy to
setup
walk
for
into
it
it
too right now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the offlaners are really good at playing with the Willow. You have heroes like Mars, Tiny, some hero like that's really good. Tiny's obviously garbage, but there's a lot of like just generic stunners in the offlane, centaurs, whatever, that really like playing with the Willow.
Yep. All right, moving on to B tier. We're gonna go pretty quickly through these because we're already at 22 minutes in recording time, and we want to keep this below 35, I would say. So we're gonna have to be pretty quick. But let's hop into it. We've got Grimstroke, extremely popular hero. People just want to combo this ability with
Inkswell equals broken.
Yes, this plus Ricky carry plus Void Spirit mid plus Ember Spirit mid plus Weaver.
4-second stun and 600 damage. Good hero. Nearly 600 damage, I should say.
Yeah, it's just a crazy, crazy ability. This is extremely good against these slippery heroes. This is one of the better lane pushing abilities in the game. And this is actually one of the most broken lockdown spells, in my opinion. I think that this is incredibly underrated as just a pure lockdown spell, not even counting the fact that it doubles an ability if you can combo it with something.
Agreed.
Pugna. Speaking of heroes that you can combo with Grimstroke, this is one of them that feels really broken sometimes if you have a Pugna mid, but we're going to talk about Pugna 4. Explain to me how you like to see this played as a 4, because I'm not super familiar.
Lots of wave cutting, lots of running around, being annoying, abusing his fast move speed. You basically just play like an Earthshaker, like some position, because he's not really the strongest laner, but he is really fast, and it's difficult to stop him. You can't stop a pull against Pugna. He decrypts you, and you literally can't aggro the creeps. So you play to essentially 50-50 the lane, and then you end up having a core as your position 4. And the ulti is just so stupid. The cooldown on it, I don't know what they were thinking. You get to this ability, and the game is over. It's ridiculous. This the Nether Ward is extremely efficient at level 1 now. So even getting it in the laning phase is very annoying. You pop it in the tree and just drain the person's mana to 0. It's very annoying in team fights. I swear to God, every time I'm against Pugna, I'm like -10 mana regen. It's like, okay, somebody kill that ward. I cannot fight with this ward up. And having a hero that can do that by just placing something on the ground, I mean, that screams position 4. That screams support to me.
Yeah, I agree. Again, one of those heroes that can also solo kill enemy supports. Like if you happen to pick this hero and the other team picks like a Crystal Maiden, good luck, Crystal Maiden. You're going to be feeding all game long. Yeah.
A lot of heroes feed solo to a Pugna.
Yep. Bounty Hunter. I raised this one up quite a bit. How do you feel about it? It's been very prevalent in pro level pubs from what I've seen. 800 picks or something like that with a 55% win rate or some similar stat to that.
I would put him lower as a position 4. I would say I'm more feeling this hero as a core right now, but I do think it's a really good hero. I think the new Aghanims with Janata is phenomenal, but I think it's less of a support.
Okay. Yeah, I personally have been playing it more as an offlaner recently. Is that where you think it's the best? Or,
yeah, offlane and mid. Offlane and mid. I've seen a lot of mid BHs. As well. Cool. Chris Luck, check him out if you're looking for a replay.
Nice. I'm going to leave it in B tier just because it's one of my favorite heroes, so I feel like I can probably play it at a B tier level if it's a B-ish tier hero. Enigma. I saw this has been getting picked a ton in ESL in the last week. Do you think it's a good 4? Yeah.
I'm leaning towards garbage. I'm leaning towards garbage on this one, but I haven't seen it, so of course there's going to be bias, and just from what I've seen, and I if it's being picked in ESL, it's obviously going to be pretty good. But I feel like because Rubick is so strong, I would put it lower just because Rubick is in almost every single game. I really don't like the fact that Midnight Pulse is magic damage. That nerfs it against so many heroes. Like Anti-Mage just obliterates Enigma now, and that hero is incredibly strong.
Yep, fair enough. Gonna be honest, most of the picks were by Liquid, and they have been losing almost all their games. So who knows? Nyx Assassin, this hero has been in the tier list for a long time.
He was just too good before, and he's getting nerfed, and so he's fallen to B tier. I think that's just a pretty simple explanation. Has a lot of stuns set up. He has a break. He does a lot of things.
Yeah, reasonably good hero, but not this level anymore. Earth Spirit, he's kind of been stuck. He was like on the rise, and then has sort of stagnated. I'm not seeing it played a ton, but I do see it situationally picked up by the Earth Spirit spammers, and that's probably where it still remains. If you're very good at hitting the skill shots, pretty good hero, right?
Yeah, he's in a good place right now if you're an Earth Spirit spammer, but every time it seems to get buffed, the win rate seems to fall to like 45% on Dota 2 Pro Tracker. So I feel like there's going to be a patch very soon where he is the S tier hero, but it doesn't feel like this one just yet.
Sure. Yeah, if they give him maybe like better wave clear or something like that, he'll be insane. But
yeah, sure.
All the other buffs have been pretty nuts so far. Mirana, this hero is getting picked more and more by position 4 players such as Tim's, and I think Crit has been playing it a bit as well, those kind of players. So they obviously see something. What do you think about Mirana?
Good place. She's in a good place. Her arrow does a lot of damage. She's great for laning if you use the arrow to push range creeps, things like that. Ulti, very annoying. Mirana ulti has always been incredibly annoying when it comes to like those bounty runes and outposts. You can just pop that and all of a sudden it's a free kill. In pubs, this hero might be A tier, maybe even A+ tier, just because nobody buys detection.
Yeah.
Also, a very good hero at cutting creep waves. It is impossible to stop a leap Mirana from cutting waves. So you can even do it against a tri-lane if you're a position 4. And I think that is of great value. Like leap first is not a joke if you are doing a thing that's instantly going to get you level 2.
Sure. I was even going to say that now that I think about it, I kind of want to almost put her in A tier preemptively because I think that's where she's going to go.
I think that's where she's headed. I agree. I also want to say, I think that's also where Pugna's headed.
Okay.
If we want to go with that, I think that's exactly where Pugna's headed.
Let's do it.
Well.
The only other reason I was going to put Mirana up here is just that as we're describing the things that she does well, sounds a lot like these heroes. Super slippery, hard to kill, very good at deep pushing, eats up dead lane farm without any risk, and also scales pretty well with items. So I like it.
Good vessel builder.
Snappy Fire, position 4. She's kind of just down here because you might as well still play it as a 5.
Broken hero, probably better as a 5. You can get away with it as a 5, but just such a strong hero. Such a strong hero.
Yep. How do you feel about Breaker? Baratherum.
I think he's better as a 4 than as a 3. I think the 3 Breaker was definitely borderline griefing. I still think Breaker is pretty good. I honestly think this hero is probably a bit underutilized, underrated.
Yeah, it's a different style. It's gonna have to probably fit more in like the Earth Spirit style. Of play than anything else. But that's where it wants to be. I think that Bulldoze is crazy good, and I think that you could almost run Spirit Breaker 4 with an offlaner that's more of a like core damage dealer or something like that, because Breaker can go aura items and just kind of like provide that for his team. You know, getting a Piper Vlad's on him is really, really good most of the time.
Some Breaker Phoenix, something like that is really nice, because or Breaker Queen of Pain, something like that, because you just have a Breaker run in and soak damage and build tank items. Then the Phoenix can just do whatever they want. The Queen of Pain get blade mails and crazy shit like that.
Yep. Lena, do you think that she's still a B tier hero? Not really being picked a lot.
Yeah, she's okay. I think the attack animation changes were great for her. I think she's a very generic position 4 hero. Very good at winning the lane. Super squishy. Super squishy. That's a big issue with her. Doesn't really have that ability to push out dead lanes and be safe doing it like a lot of these other heroes.
Right.
But she has good wave clear, so it's not bad. I think she'd probably be minus. She'd be like a B- hero if we do put her in B tier.
Sure. Probably still kind of depends on who you're pairing it with. Like Lena plus a Sand King or something like that is still bananas good.
Yep.
Death Prophet, position 4. Yes.
I would also say this one is trending upward. I would say this is a potential A tier hero. I'm not quite sure and comfortable with it enough yet, like I am with a Pugna,
Mm,
possibly personal bias, but this hero is just insane right now. And as a position 4, you don't need that many. Once again, going back to if you expect a hero to do the core things as a position 4, you're going to be very upset in most games. But for a position 4 to have what the exorcism does and to be as annoying as she
mhm.
is it's just so frustrating to deal with. It's like, okay, you have to commit all of this energy to killing a position 4 hero. Well, they have a 3, they have a 2, and they have a 1 running around now.
Right.
So I think that's a big issue with her. But basically, the reason she's overpowered is because of like 10 buffs in a row,
Right.
and then exorcism giving 30% or 20% move speed. I think it's 20%.
20. Yeah.
Which is still insane, though, given the fact that she's been given base movement speed increases as well as movement speed increases on the Spirit Siphon. So the hero is just so fast. And you don't need very many items to be that fast. And the thing with a lot of these, like a lot of tanky items in Dota, is that, well, just stat items in general, making yourself impossible to kill. I feel like you could go 6 bracers on Death Prophet.
That's what I was
And
just about to say.
you'll probably be like in borderline immortal to most heroes.
Yeah.
And those aren't expensive items. And because you don't need the DP to do the core stuff, you just need to not die. And then all of a sudden she's doing way more than a traditional position 4.
Right. Yeah, I was just gonna say you probably just want to build this hero to just be as annoyingly like sticky in a team fight as possible. Like if she can just survive for 80% of team fights because she's too tanky to kill, like she's gonna do a ton of damage in kind of the same way that Void Spirit and Ember Spirit do, but she does it in a different way. It's just by being absorbing damage and like stealing health, whereas those ones are hard to lock down, but tons of rounds of spells basically.
My gut instinct on that hero is that she's an A tier position 4, but I would say be a little more careful with that one.
Sure. All right, Pango and Quap are our last 2 B tier heroes. What do you think?
Pango is just a really good hero right now. The ultimate is just so broken. The disarm is really annoying. Swashbuckle is great for it's like a blink as well as a damage ability. I think people straying away from going for like the Lukey build has made this hero a lot better. People going for Vlads and Pipe and things like that, and just playing around the fact that his abilities don't need to be buffed up by bashers and diffusals in order to be strong.
Right.
And then you can offer both like the tankiness and utility of a position 4 while still having strong damage dealing teamfight lockdown with the other abilities. So I think this hero is really strong right now based on basically how people are playing it.
Sure, makes sense to me. And Quap, you convinced me to put up here because you think that this hero is incredibly good and has arguably the best trading ability in the game. It's almost like Disruptor, right? Disruptor had the Thunderstrike. It's kind of what Shadow Strike is.
Yeah, I really like what you said about this hero, where it's like you take this hero and you put it in position 4 and you grab a blade mail, and all of a sudden you solve the one thing that she can't do. Maybe not the one thing, she can't really push, but you can pick other heroes that do that. But essentially, you have this hero that's a position 4 with a blade mail that's tanky, that can't die, that can go into fights and be really active, and does more damage than you need anybody else to do. You really don't need any other damage dealers if you have a Queen of Pain. You just pick up a traditional carry. Everybody, you can have a DK, you can have everybody else do no damage and just offer other things in the game, and Queen of Pain plus the carry will be enough to do damage. So basically, this hero makes up for the fact that, sure, she doesn't have any lockdown. Well, to some degree. I guess you have the slow, you have the Queen of Pain's ulti, which now is a pseudo lockdown, 1.5 second disabled. That's actually not that bad because it's BKB piercing as well. But with that being said, doesn't have the most traditional form of lockdown. Not an Earthshaker, not an Earth Spirit, but does so much damage and other shit that she makes up for it. That's basically where she's at right now. Her numbers are overtuned.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, C tier, very, very quickly. Shadow Demon, Enigma, Batrider, Puck, Zeus, Leshrac, Shadow Shaman, stop me if any of these don't make any sense. Dazzle, Treant Protector, Crystal Maiden, Witch Doctor, Skywrath Mage, Elder Titan, Slardar, Tiny, and Disruptor. How the mighty have fallen, these 2 in particular. Good riddance. Don't ever come back to the meta as far as I'm concerned.
I think Slardar is just a garbage hero. I think Slardar is trashed here. Too many nerfs. Witch Doctor as well. I would say that hero is just in the trash. I think people really thought that it was going to come into the meta and do some things, and it got buffed. And it's a lot of just people being excited about a hero that they like. Yep. Zeus, I would say also Zeus is probably a mid hero. He needs a lot right now because the bots build got nerfed. So good luck having mana to sustain. I really feel like he's more of a mid hero. These other heroes, yeah, I think these other heroes are pretty fine. A lot of these C tier heroes can be played as like position 5s. Like Bat is a 5, but he needs a lot of levels. He used to be good as a 4, but like I said, he needs so many levels. Shadow Demon, you can purge all of his shit. He has no disable. It's a little better because there are illusion heroes. Skywrath, he just feeds. He's basically a shittier Queen of Pain. Elder Titan, probably a position 5.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny, been nerfed so many goddamn times in a row. Dog shit win rate. Disruptor, he's also been nerfed. Probably was better as a 5 anyway. Dazzle, he can just get ultra purged. You just purge his stuff and he's really useless. Axe is really popular. You just slam dunk. I do think he's good though. He's a good 5 and a good 3. But as a 4, it's weird.
Yep.
I think that's about it.
Shaman, pretty good 5 in my opinion, but why play him as a 4? He's not really a very good 4 at this point. He doesn't really do anything 4s want. He's
a little underexplored, I would say. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Shadow Shaman, but I haven't seen anybody playing it. Like nobody seems to be playing it in pro level pubs.
Fair enough. D tier. Stop picking these heroes. Simple as that. Venge, not a 4. That's a offlaner potentially.
5,
I guess
yeah.
5. Lion, just a bad hero. Just a bad hero.
Just doesn't do enough. Way shittier Lich.
Yep. Undying, he's a 5.
Not a 4.
Ogre.
Not a 4.
Not a 4. Techies. I convinced you to put it not out of literally griefing because I've seen Zayats play it with great effect
the
on
only
First
reason,
Pro. Yep.
The only reason is VP. That's it.
Yep. And then we talked about these two. So on to our favorite tier to talk about, literally griefing. If you pick any of these as a position 4, you should probably just go ahead and abandon because that's what you're doing to your team. This is a core.
Okay, yeah. Core hero, dog shit win rate. Pudge, literally the worst hero in Dota. Literally the worst. Give me 4 fucking Medusas on my team before 1 Pudge. Please. I don't want this hero on my team. I have 1,000 games with Pudge. Think about how it hurts my soul to say this. I am legitimately begging you, Ice Frog, if you're watching this video. I will do anything. I will fly out to Seattle and I will give you a foot rub for a year straight, every single day. I don't care how dirty and smelly and gross your feet are. I'll give you a nice lotioned up, oiled up foot rub, even if you get real sexual with it. Anything to get Pudge out. How the fuck does he get worse? Every single time we make one of these videos, I freak out. Everybody laughs. Oh, Jenkins freaking out about Pudge. He does this in every video. Okay, next time it'll get buffed. Somehow it gets worse. It's like I'm living in a fucking nightmare. I'm in an abyss, and then I look into an abyss in the abyss, and then I fall into an abyss deeper in the abyss. I'm just in the abyssception here. I don't know what to do with my fucking life anymore. Give me a break.
Yeah, I would say that there's a problem if your highest win rate is in like Guardian/Herald bracket. That's usually not a very good sign for a hero. Ricky, this is a core. Stop picking that. Venomancer, jungle, not a thing, never was. All right, that's it. Tier list, position 4 tier list, done. The full tier list for the current patch is now available. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Did we misplace anything? Did we insult you by insulting your favorite hero? I hope we did, because at the very least, you'll tell us about it in the comment section below. And with that being said, we'll see you later in our next video.